Here's how to comment during the Frankly Speaking show. On your computer, look to the right of the video. That's your live chat hub. Click the Say Something box at the bottom, type your message, and hit enter. Boom, you're live. On the mobile app, it's just as easy. Tap the live chat button right under the video to open the window. Pro tip, if you're in full screen mode, tap the screen once and hit the chat icon to see messages without leaving the action. Can't type? Check two things. Make sure you're signed in and see if subscribers only mode is on. You might need to sub and wait a few minutes. Keep it respectful, follow the mod's rules, and have fun.
Good day. Good day. A statue of Christopher Columbus in St. Anne has been disturbing quite a few people. No, it's not new. We'll come to that in a minute. And also, many people have been disturbed by what is seen as a lack of access to Jamaica's beaches. The matter was in the Parliament last week, raised by the leader of the opposition, Mark Golding, and responded to by Prime Minister Andrew Holness. And we'll take AI into the kitchen today. Can you imagine that? AI into the kitchen today. Thank you for joining us again for this podcast. This is episode number 202. We invite you to subscribe if you have done so. With me are regular panelists Desmond Richards and Winnie Anderson Brown. We invite you to send your comments and questions to us by using the procedure outlined earlier or attaching them to the comment section of the YouTube channel. But please, first watch this short video. The rich history of St. Anne is not often observed or celebrated. The parish is the location of the brutal encounter between Europeans and Jamaica's first people. Jamaica's first national hero, Marcus Mosiah Garvey, and the people's most popular hero, Bob Marley, were both born in St. Anne. So what is a Columbus statue doing in St. Anne's Bay, close to Seville? It's like an anachronism. Seville was once the capital and remains a well-regarded historic site, possibly most famous as the venue for the annual Emancipation celebrations. Near to Seville, to the west of St. Anne's Bay, is a statue of Christopher Columbus. It's placed on a pedestal so high as to make it very difficult to see the facial features in stone. The statue once attracted visitors and used to be taken care of in a fenced park by the members of the St. Anne Catholic congregation at the Church of Perpetual Help. The statue is at the western end of Main Street, accessing the St. Anne's Bay Hospital, the Catholic Church, and Columbus Prep School. Most significantly, it's 100 yards away from the Marcus Garvey Technical High School. Hundreds of students walk past it every day. The base of the statue has suffered some vandalism, the name having been removed. Most people I spoke with don't know why it's there and believe it should come down. Long-standing Councillor for the Priory Division, Dallas Dickinson, says he thinks most people would want it removed. What do you think? On the other hand, Garvey's statue at the parish library remains of concern. Speaking there last Heroes Day, Custos Joseph Issa lamented the state of the grounds surrounding the statue and asked that at least the grass should be kept green without brown patches and trimmed. He said it should be a place of great business and culture. Even the plaque bearing the details of the statue is faded in parts. There's nothing stately or befitting of a hero about the library grounds. No storyboard about the statue of this great man who influenced leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. and Nelson Mandela. There's an annual Garvey lecture at the parish library, but nothing else to underline the greatness of this first national hero, Pan-African leader, who left his mark on the world, and whose character and exhortations are still largely unknown to his country. As to Garvey's birthplace, that is another story. I'm Franklin McKnight. Okay, so we will be discussing that video with two Garveyites, Heru Menelek and Peter Foster, in a while further in the program. But first, we turn to Devon Taylor, Dr. Devon Taylor of JABEM, for his assessment of the latest discussions in the Parliament about beach access or rights. JABEM means Jamaica Beach Birthright Environmental Movement. Good afternoon, Dr. Taylor. Please share with us your sentiments on the latest in the beach access issue.
Greetings, Franklin, to you and your crew. Bluntly, it's a non-starter, right? And before I kind of go into a couple of the points that led us to that conclusion, right? We have to look at how this beach policy was unveiled to the nation, right? In the context of a parliamentary debate where we see the Prime Minister of the country basically present that there are going to be around 22 coastal projects open up across the island. We know the context of Jamaica right now, that 30 to 35% of the GDP of the country is based upon tourism. So basically, tourism is the single most important economic pillar. Coastal economy, the coastline of the country, is really driving the economy of the nation, right? So we also know for a fact, and was admitted to in this document, that tourist industry crowd out everything else. It excludes the Jamaican people from their foreshore. It alienates them, right? And while not agreed to, are actually dealt with in the document, it exploits Jamaican workers, because tourism industry employs people on contract. So, for us, it's really a plantation tourism model. But what has led us to this conclusion is very the blatant conversation that we take from, right, this document is that the document only gives Jamaicans qualified rights. JABEM have always asked for, something that the nation has been requesting, which is fundamental rights, unfettered rights, right? Rights that are not conditional. And instead of the government of Jamaica, the current government of Jamaica, give us that fundamental birthright by being a Jamaican citizen connected to the land, by recognizing that rebellion and revolutions were fought by our enslaved forefathers to liberate this land, right? So the fight for emancipation was about freedom, liberty, right, and land rights. Instead of giving us that fundamental right, it gives us conditional rights, rights that are infringed upon by the license that will be granted by a hotel or anybody else, a guest house, a villa, or a private individual who control a beach, right?
So let's be practical. Let me just try to get practical here for a minute.
Yeah,
you are saying that the existence of the tourism industry as is going in an opposite direction to the attainment of all those rights, of access to all beaches, etc. in Jamaica?
Absolutely. The document admit, that the incorporation of public beaches into private development, right, is a big driver for the loss of access. And this was attributed, of course, to private development such as hotel. So the document agree, right, that also the expansion of roads and creation of highways move roads from coastal land where people had access, right, to create hotels and to open up lands to also expand the tourism product are big drivers of the displacement of the Jamaican people. So that is in the document, right?
Yeah.
So the industry.
So still staying on that part, and I know my colleagues I want to jump in, so whenever they're ready. But still staying on that part, do you see it possible for Jamaicans to have access to much of this coastline that you were talking about? By the way, the document suggests that it's over 1,000 kilometers of coastline that we have. But do you see it possible for the continued existence of all-inclusive beaches and Jamaicans being able to access those beach lands?
I mean, the two are not mutually exclusive. The document also shows 5 different Caribbean islands. 5 different Caribbean islands was actually featured in the document that shows them with similar tourism product. St. Kitts and Nevis, Antigua and Barbuda, the Virgin Islands, St. Lucia and Barbados were featured in the document. And in these places, explicitly, the citizens have rights to their beaches. So it's, it's a lie to say that tourism cannot coexist with rights of the Jamaican people. In fact, tourism should not infringe upon the Jamaican people's rights to access their foreshore and to use the sea, right? Because it's across 13 English-speaking Caribbean nation. All of them allow their citizens fundamental rights to their beaches. We don't do it. So I mean, it's not unheard of. It exists. It exists, but Jamaica went down a pathway, right, from 1956 that excluded Jamaican people, gave them no inherent right to the foreshore. And here we are in 2026, they're doing the exact same thing.
So, Dr. Taylor, what are your recommendations? First of all, I am in agreement with you that Jamaicans should have access to their beaches. There should be no prohibitive factors preventing us from going to any beach in Jamaica. So, what are your recommendations for the system to be adjusted so that Jamaicans can have access to their beaches?
Well, my brother, the first thing we have to do, right, is that we have to fix what was harmfully done to the Jamaican people, which is the Beach Control Act of 1956. We need to throw that in the dust bowl of history. We need to burn it. We need to abolish it. We need to eradicate it. That piece of legislation must be repealed and replaced. Remove the Beach Control Act of 1956, and in its place, you're going to develop a legislation that starts with the Jamaican people have a fundamental right, an unfettered right, an inalienable right, not only to access, but that right must be codified, that we need to reimagine the relationship with the coastline. That means we can do, what is it that we do there? We can fish there, swim there, bathe there. We could do all these things there, which are not conditional, right? That's where we start, right there. Now, be concerned about these hotels, right? And we can go right there because many of these hotels are built too close to the foreshore, right? No new hotel should be built so close to the foreshore. This document has made a step in the right direction by they kind of list out, and I see if I could really find it quickly, that there's going to be some restriction to how close you could actually build to the foreshore, and that's a very good step in the right direction. I think it's around 90 feet or so, but it's actually a range. It is 26 meter to 90 feet, somewhere there. I can pull it up. So that's a good 26.2 to 100 feet, right? A setback. Now that's good. So no new hotels should be built in these zones. Now we think that all the lands around the country must be placed in a trust. Whether or not there's an existing hotel there, we should put them in a trust. All right. And what we need to do is this land trust must serve the Jamaican people. And the policy document, we've been asking for all these things, the policy document admit those, but they only admit them to say that any lands owned by the government, right? And when these lands are being divested, they will protect a portion of the land that's adjoined the sea and place that piece of land in trust for the Jamaican people. And we think that's a good thing. It's just not gone far enough. So there's room for improvement in that because they recognize that the dispossession, and I hear the Prime Minister saying about, people being displaced, and nobody's been displaced, but at the same time, the document admit around displacement. So we are saying that all 494 miles around the country, right, must be placed in a land trust for the people. We need to determine how much above the high water mark that is, and we can have a discussion about that. That will allow freedom of movement in, and being consistent with the charter rights in the country, right?
Dr. Taylor does want to answer that issue, and you are coming through it, but you moved over the point that I'm really trying to establish. We have some hotels in Jamaica, several of them we know, dozens of them, large one, lots of capital invested. They operate, most of them, all-inclusive packages, where once you get on that beach, everything is yours. What I'm asking you is, what is the proposal that Jabim and others who support, because I do support access to all the beaches, what's the proposal to get around that, to deal with that issue, not to get around it, to deal with that issue existing? You have spoken about the fact that the document relates to also to not building so close to the foreshore. Yes, we know that. But the hotels exist now. Some policies exist now. Some sales of hotel rooms exist like that. The investment policies are based on that. What's the proposal to deal with that existing reality?
Franklin, that all of these all-inclusive hotels, they have to acquire a beach license to really operate their businesses on the beach, right? And the stipulated condition in those beach licenses are set by the NRCA, right? National
Resource, yes, Conservation
Authority, right? They set those. What we think, you need to abolish those licenses to make them that the Jamaican people can walk along the foreshore. There's nothing that should stop us from moving along. You're saying, well, I pay for my beach to be private, and I'm down there with my red stripe and my, food, right? And everything is there on the beach, open up. So if someone comes there, they're going to dip into it, right? And use it. And so, this is a non-starter. I'm saying that they take that behind the fence of the hotel. These hotels are going to be asked to make adjustment, right? Because this is a sovereign issue for the Jamaican people. Because currently, the Jamaican people are being discriminated by not having a right to move along the foreshore, codified in a colonial era law. Now, I know many of these tourists are from countries where rights and liberty are the foundation of their democracy. You could never, ever do that to an American citizen, a British citizen, a European citizen, or citizens from other, let's say, South American countries who visit Jamaica. You could never tell them that they can't walk on a beach. You can't do it. The foundation of these people's democracy is based in freedom of movement and liberty. So I don't think they would object to saying that the beach license now affords for Jamaicans to have perpendicular, longitudinal, whatever access to traverse the foreshore. They would not do it. So what our solution is that you get rid of these licenses that put restrictions and conditions on how the Jamaican people walk along the foreshore, enjoy the sea. That's what we're saying. Get rid of those licenses.
I I would say renegotiate. I would say renegotiate those and come to some agreement. And I totally agree that I put it more strongly than that. The decolonization of Jamaica is important. It's not just about replacing the Governor General and replacing the king as head of state. This is a part of the same whole, because our citizens are still subjects. It's only that we are still subjects. So to become citizens with rights, it's a part of the whole process. I do not see it as something separate.
Absolutely. And I fundamentally agree with you. So therefore, when the section in this beach control management, this beach management policy came out and says Jamaicans will have qualified rights, and we need to talk about that, because you don't hear all of it as yet, right? To understand how ridiculous this is, how restrictive this is, and how, discriminatory this is. The rights of the public in this area is determined by whoever control the license. Okay, so the rules will be determined by the licensee in consultation with NRCA. But the hotel, the villas, the guest house, whoever who control these new licenses will be the ones who make them. And you want to know something? They actually spell out some of the key areas around where rules will be made. And you know what they are? How many Jamaicans can access a beach at any given time? How they must dress, how they must behave, and how they must dispose of their waste. Right? Just think about that for a second. That the qualified rights is actually laying down condition as to how Jamaicans interact. You tell me if anything changed in that. Nothing not changed.
Well, one of the things that we must ensure that access to our beach, those who access our beaches must be kept clean. We must, so therefore, the disposal of waste must be part of access. You must not go on the beach and litter the beach. We don't want that.
Yeah, but
the other thing I must ask you.
Yeah, but we need to back up right there, so you know. Yeah. Jamaican people don't intentionally dirty up beach. And I saw it.
No, I didn't.
No, you're not saying that. There's a pervasive thought that we're nasty and we're dirty. The state always fail to put infrastructure in even a garbage bin or a receptacle. Them things
hold a second there. I am talking from experience, right? I know of a waterfalls that I am connected with, and the proper disposal units are there, and people litter the place. I know that, right?
But we see that on the streets every day.
Yes.
I was just going to use the example of the street. Yes. We can use the example of even the municipal waste, where people in them community just piles and piles. Listen, I'm not excusing bad behavior for people who litter, you know. Don't get me wrong. But to really put or impose a behavioral burden as it relates to the disposal of waste, right, is something that is consistent with colonial logic, creating all kinds of rules to exclude people. We never have to go this, brethren. The state could put the infrastructure in place and the education in place, and the problem they solve.
I don't agree with that. Not the people I see from day to day. No,
I don't agree with you there, because I know that we have Jamaica.
What I see, not what I see.
Yeah, I know that.
We beg to we disagree.
So let's
we agree to disagree.
Yeah, man.
We agree to disagree.
Because the root cause of why we're having this conversation right now is this provision or this so-called amendment that they're making to the Beach Control Act to tell Jamaicans that they're going to have rights. But instead of giving Jamaican inherent rights that are not conditional, they're putting in conditions in
circumscribing. Yes, and just want to remind people that this document was tabled in the House of representatives on Thursday, and it's available on several sites.
Yes, it's also
Okay, we're wrapping up. Desmond, go ahead, and then we wrap up. Dr. Taylor, go ahead.
Dr. Taylor, there was a controversy recently about the Bob Marley Beach. Well, what is the latest on that?
Well, the Bob Marley Beach is still in the courts. We were in courts last week. It's still ongoing. We're fighting for prescriptive rights, which is the only mechanism that exists under the Jamaican law. And it's a common law right to really preserve and protect rights to beaches, right? It is the only mechanism.
Give us the latest on the Duns River, Little Duns River Beach, where you're in court again.
We are in court. We're going back to court March 25th, which is this week. We have applied for an injunction to force the UDC to open the beach to the Jamaican public for recreation, for bathing, right? For all that we use the beach for, because they have locked down that space for the last 4 years and everybody has suffered. So that is the 25th.
It's open 2 days a week.
Only 2 days a week. Which again points to the problem around conditions and permission that are part of the Beach Control Act that the state give and the state take away because the state control the power because the people have no right. I'm tell us, I really want our people.
There's no point to 2 days a week. Why should they decide on 2 days a week? Why not 5 or why not 3? Or why not 7?
The whole thing.
We should have access to the beach 7 days a week. There's not many beaches in Ocherius area anyway.
And the government is coming with talking about crime and violence like this not happen everywhere. You are in St. Anne. Last year there was a double murder right in the Miami Bay corridor near 2 hotels, right? Because their claim said that's why them locked down Little Duns River, And them hotel the operation just continue. Not no move, not no change. Everything go on. So really and truly, them just want to take the space. But
Dr. Taylor, we're going to have to end this segment here.
Let me just say one last thing. Can I say one last thing? That the new policy is also going to sell public beaches. It's allowing for the creation of artificial beaches by removing massive amount of rock from the foreshore, right, to build these beaches, and you will not have rights to these spaces.
Dr. Taylor, I promise you to bring you back on that because I saw that and I saw the whole business of the document. I didn't read the document fully, but I saw the whole concept of this creation of these other beaches and so forth, and I wondered a little bit about that. But I thank you, on behalf of all of us, for your forthright representation and your thinking on this matter.
Give thanks.
Thanks a lot, and all the best to Jabin.
Yes.
All right. Cool. Yes. Bye.
Well, Winnie, you have a good day from our friend Ruby and Forbes, who we missed on our tour.
Yes.
And you have you have a comment there.
Yes, Ruben says, good afternoon, everyone. And Owen says, in addition to educating citizens, a few people could be employed to do continuous cleaning.
Yes, as Desmond says, people have displayed nasty habits in a lot of our public spaces. Sometimes, of course, the government doesn't provide all the resources, NSWMA doesn't provide all the resources, but my goodness, it's not true that people do mess about a tremendous lot in this country, and there's no sympathy on my side for it. Okay, Winnie, we are asking you to take us into the kitchen quickly with AI.
Okay, so today we go to the kitchen. There's a prompt that Joshua has, and I'm going to read it out. He's going to do it live. Yes, Joshua. And this is a prompt. I have a tin of sardines, one very ripe mango, and some vinegar in my cupboard. I want to make something quick and delicious that isn't a sandwich. Using these 3 things, please give me a creative 5-minute recipe and explain the science of why these work together. So That's where we are. Now for the answer. Gemini is working.
One tin of sardine, vinegar, and what? Mango.
And a ripe mango. Yes, those are the ingredients. Yes. So here we go. Prep the mango. Yes. So what are you going to do with the mango? What are you eventually making? What are you eventually making? What's the name of the recipe? I want to see what it made and why. What
All
did
right,
it
let
make?
me
Yes,
hold
go
on,
ahead.
Winnie. Let me. So, okay, 5 minutes sardine mango crudo.
Yes.
All right. So the ingredients and you have here is a prep. Let's see. Oh,
Prep
here
the
it is.
okay. Prep
So
the
it's a
mango.
prep
Mango,
mango.
sardine, and vinegar. That's all I
Right.
have in the
Marinate,
in the cupboard.
Yes. So
plate, assemble, and finish. Crack of black pepper and Philly or chili flakes. Let me see. What is the so it
the
has
science. Yes. Why does this
okay,
work? Yes.
yes.
Because this is going fast. Why does this work? It's all about contrast and cutting. Acidity versus fat. Sardines are oily fish, rich in omega-3 fatty acids. On their own, they can feel heavy or overly fishy on the palate. The acetic acid in the vinegar performs a chemical cut through the fat molecules. This cleanses your palate between bites so the fish doesn't overwhelm your taste buds. So the bottom line here is that if you have just these and it gives you all the information about that. Let's see how the mango goes. Since your mango is very ripe, it has a high pectin content that has started to break down into simple sugars. When mixed with the vinegar and the oil from the sardines, it creates a gastric style emulsion. Yes, you
And you
you
are
aren't just eating fruit and fish. You are creating a complex sweet and sour sauce right on your plate. And then it asks you some questions. The bottom line is, with these ingredients, who would have thought that you could come up with something tasty to eat? Your AI tells
But
you
I
what
don't
you
know what is it that you have come up with to eat out of your sardine, mango, and vinegar.
well, because you see it, how you combine it. It showed you how to combine it so that you can eat the things together, and it's quite tasty. That is what it did for you. Tell you how you can put them together so that you can have a meal with that. Who would have thought that you would put sardine and mango and vinegar together to get something tasty to eat? Try it and see
But why we didn't put a piece of
what
what
it
why we didn't
tastes
put two
like.
slices of bread? Why we didn't put 2 slices of
No,
bread
we
in
don't
the
want any. We don't. If we had the time, you'd go through each thing and see why, and see the science behind the whole thing, why these things work. And that is why I asked it to explain why it works.
I saw
But
the
Franklin,
nutritional and the scientific basis of what they said, but why we just didn't get a slice of bread in there
No, we
no, but
with the
didn't want it.
sardine?
no,
We didn't want a
no,
sandwich. We didn't want a
but Franklin,
sandwich.
Franklin, there was no bread in the cupboard. That's all you had in the cupboard, and you
Thank
wanted to
you,
tell me.
Ask your next
Desmond.
door neighbor, man. Neighbor you
No, don't
next.
Huh?
go beg. Don't go beg.
Okay.
No,
Oh,
man.
okay. All
You
right.
only had
Use
these
what you
three.
have.
You only had these three,
All right.
three. So you just have to use it and make a meal. That's what this is
So
saying.
Winnie, you are saying that you
Thanks.
can go to AI for
Yes.
you can go to AI for ideas, instructions on
Yes.
On
On
recipes.
Yes, yes, and I have many stories on how I
Okay.
use AI in my kitchen.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. All right. So nobody can complain that they can't cook anymore.
You can ask your chatbot to help you.
All right. Okay. Okay. Thanks, Winnie. Thanks, Winnie. And boy, I'm
Okay.
telling you,
Thanks, Joshua.
viewers, you're going to get the AI story of your life next week. But when we come to that, we'll come to it. Okay. Now, I would love Joshua just to give us a little tip again of the Columbus Garvey video, because we're running out of the time, and we have our guests with us, Heru Menelik and Peter Foster.
The rich history of St. Anne is not often observed or celebrated. The parish is the location of the brutal encounter between Europeans and Jamaica's first people. Jamaica's first national hero, Marcus Mosiah Garvey, and the people's most popular hero, Bob Marley, were both born in St. Anne. So what is a Columbus statue doing in St. Anne's Bay, close to Seville? It's like an anachronism. Seville was once a capital and remains a well-regarded historic site, possibly most famous as the venue for the annual Emancipation celebrations. Near to Seville, to the west of St. Anne's Bay, is a statue of Christopher Columbus. It's placed on a pedestal so high as to make it very difficult to see the facial features in stone. The statue once attracted visitors and used to be taken care of in a fenced park by the members of the St. Anne Catholic congregation at the Church of Perpetual Help. The statue is at the western end of Main Street, accessing the St. Anne's Bay Hospital, the Catholic Church, and Columbus Prep School. Most significantly, it's 100 yards away from the Marcus Garvey Technical High School. Hundreds of students walk past it every day.
All right. Thank you, Joshua. Thank you very much. We're saying welcome to Heru Menelik and Peter Foster. Peter Foster was here with us earlier. Gentlemen, welcome again. First, we just have to ask you, and either of you can start. Are you offended by that statue, and what's wrong with it being there, if anything?
I'm extremely offended as an African. Extremely. This is Dr. Heru Menelik.
Yes, Dr. Menelik. Sorry about that. Go ahead. I couldn't see you on the screen. Go ahead, sir.
I'm extremely offended by the statue of Columbus being in our country for over 500 years. It's 534 years now since the Spaniards came to our islands.
Well, the statue, to be just a little point, the statue was dedicated apparently in 1957, and the Spaniards rededicated it in 1999 or something out in 1999. But go ahead, sir. Go ahead. Just making it clear that that statue has not been there all this time. Go ahead.
Yes. So we have to realize that, as the Honorable Marcus Garvey said, we must enshrine our own heroes, our heroes and heroines. We must not allow the oppressors to put their statues, naming different places to honor their people, and we don't do it. We have to look at what happened in 1655 when the British came. They renamed all of Jamaica in honor of British people. The roads, buildings, everything was renamed. So we have to realize that the time has come when we, as a sovereign nation, should remove all those edifices and those images of our slave masters.
Let me hear your colleague on this now.
I agree 100% with Brother Heru, 100%. These images and statues is a reminder to us, is a reminder to us who is really, 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 really in charge, who is really running things here. Yes, and we as a people, we have to recognize these things. Yes, we have to recognize these things and know that we don't want this to remind us of where we're coming from when it comes to these things and these people. So I agree with Brother Haru 100% that these things need to come down. All these statues, the one in Williams Grand Park, downtown Kingston, they're all over the island. St. Mary is named after someone, Mary of Scott, St. Elizabeth, the Queen Elizabeth, all these parishes are named.
But I was going to ask you, sir, that isn't that a whole lot of pulling down or pulling aside or pushing aside with all these names, as you said, parish names, hospital names, in some cases, all sorts of facilities. A friend of mine asked me this week when he heard that I was doing this program. He says, what's wrong with you guys? You're not satisfied in your own skin? You're not comfortable in your own skin to just leave these things alone and move on? How you respond to that, Dr. Menele?
Well, it is a disservice to our ancestors. When you acquire a name of your slave master, and you are proud to keep that name, I had to challenge the Registrar General Department to change my 3 names. They wanted to only change my 2 Christian names and to keep my surname. We have to understand the trick that they use with the surname and spell it Surname. It is actually SIR because you got the name of the Sir plantation that you were on. And I had to fight them right through until they relented in 2015 and allowed me to change my 3 names. What's in a name? A name, it points to your identity, your cultural heritage, and it emboldens you to who you are as a people.
And so let me ask now, so which is more important? Getting the places of our heroes, the existing heroes, getting the places, the symbols around them, everything identified with them, getting those right, stately, and worthy of heroes, or going after the ones who we should just basically ignore?
Well, as I said, in 1655, when the British drove out the Spaniards from Jamaica, they immediately started to rename the places to identify with the British Empire. This is something that is normal and it is done by all these different nations. When the Spaniards came in 1492, they named Seville after Seville in Spain. So it is something that these Europeans do all over the world because it reflects their own heritage as a people. It identifies them. And we should do the same. All these buildings, edifices, places, names must be changed to reflect us as a people. Let us be reminded that we were here.
Mr. Foster, what has the UNIA done in advocating in that regard? And are you satisfied with what's the state of, for example, the Garvey statue on the grounds?
Well, the UNIA has written citations.
Mr. Foster, Dr. Menelik, I was asking Mr. Foster if we could give us a response.
Okay.
We at the UNIACL World of 1929, we are not in support of any of these things. Our movement is a Black liberation movement. Yes, we are here to uplift the black man himself. And Garvey speaks about that all the time. That we are here to uplift our people. Yes, and improve our people in every way, shape, form, or fashion. And like Brother Heru said, our name, how we see ourselves, how we view ourselves, yes, is very, 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 very important. And we have all these European names, yes, and the name carry. Listen to me. He spoke about the name. The registration of our name is by these people is with the number on it. It's like a stock, and we need to change our name and get our name out of that system. Yes, it begin to change our name, and we're here advocating for all of that within the 455 division, Madasima division of the UNIA. That's what we advocate for in our group. And brother,
and tell me what we're going to do about the Garvey statue. Even some of the writing is faded, nothing done about it. The grounds is not fantastic. They upkeep sometimes don't patch dry grass around the place and all. What we're going to do about Garvey and some of the other heroes are treated better, but let's start with Garvey.
Well, we are at the 455 division. We are in the move right now to go forward with getting Garvey's statue up to date. Where Garvey's resident is up to date, and we are advocating right now with the government. I think we should be advocating right now with the government to facilitate these moves. Yes, because it is part of our cultural heritage where this island is concerned, being Garvey, our first national hero. And the attention placed on Garvey when it comes to those things is not really given the attention that it is deserved right now in Jamaica.
Dr. Menelik, we look at Garvey's birthplace. For years now, we haven't been able to do anything significant with it or about it to be able to bring children. Look, when you look at these places, you all were mentioning what was done and has done elsewhere. Elsewhere, you couldn't have Garvey's birthplace looking in the state that it is.
Well, every August 17th, the UNI and upgraded the facility. We were actually stopped by the government and they said they would have done it. And they were actually in court with the owners of the property because the property went into private hands. The last thing on it is that they have now acquired the property and will start to do an update on the property to make it into a museum. But what we are looking at is that
these things are in our hands, sir. These things are in our hands. These things are ours to do. It's not as a protest.
I have written to the parish council of St. Anne and the parish council and KSAMC in Kingston to rename Garvey's St. Anne, the parish of St. Anne, Garvey City. We have written to the KSAMC, the mayor, and asked him Great George Street in Almontown, where Marcus Garvey won his election and was the councillor for Almontown, to rename Great George Street Great Garvey Street. It has not been done, and this is over 15 years ago.
So it's the government that is dragging their foot. The weakness of the pro-African, pro-liberation, pro-Garvey movement. Or does it speak to? What does it do? What does that speak to? That they just ignore these requests and so forth and move on?
Well, as I'm saying, the awareness of the people, they are more Eurocentric than Afrocentric. And this is why they don't see it as an important thing to do. They embrace. One of them actually told me, I would never change my name to an African name. Yeah, and he stressed the never. So we have to see the mindset of these people. They are traitors to their own ancestors. And this is why the Marcus Garvey People's Political Party will be putting 63 candidates ready for the next election, because we are saying the only way we will get the power is by the bullet or the ballot. And we said we won't go the way of the bullet, we'll go the way of the ballot. So the next election will have 63 candidates of the Marcus Garvey People's Political Party.
But Dr. Menelik, Jamaica, you have seen and you have heard and you have listened to the political scientists and the political people who follow politics. Jamaica is not ready for a third party, and the Marcus Garvey movement might best, or the UNI anyway, might best champion issues with regard to Garvey, lobby, fight hard, issues with regard to Garvey. I can't see why the UNIA can deliver on a proper place for Garvey in the parish of his birth, at the parish library.
we are in the process now of acquiring a radio station, because through media, we realize the narrative can be changed when you are repetitively going to the people and let them know who they are as a people. And Mr. Garvey reminded us about it. Peter Tosh reminded us about it in his famous song. No matter where you're from, as long as you're a black man, you're an African. We need to have black history in our schools, that we can promulgate the great history we have as a people. We taught the white people, the Greeks, who were the first civilized white people, were taught by Africans. And we need the children in the schools to know these things, that they can be proud of who they are, so they don't bleach and try to look white. Why do we celebrate a Miss World and a Miss Universe, and all these images are white images? I have to congratulate Mr. Alexander Brown, who every year he has a contest known as the Miss Black History Month contest, where we celebrate the black beauty of our great women. This is what we need to do in Jamaica. Celebrate the beauty of our blackness.
The other thing that we must focus on, Eru, is that for some time now, there has been talk about teaching Garveyism in schools. And so far, that has not. They have been talk about it, but no, it has not gone further. I strongly believe that this is one thing that we should put our shoulders behind and try and get this on get it going into action.
Very much so. We have started. Major Effiam White, ex-major from the Defense Force. He has started a project known as Garvey in School. And he has 20 schools now approved by the government, where we are teaching Garvey's philosophy in the schools. 20 schools. We are promised another 20 schools. So by attrition, within a year or two, we should have Garvey philosophy being taught in all our schools.
Mr. Also, if you have 20 now, you haven't touched the it's not the tip of the iceberg. That you're not getting anywhere.
Well, as I say, the longest journey begins with the first step. And we are glad we have made that first step.
I have a question. How does one get a school on that program?
It goes through Major White. You get in touch with Major White and tell them that your school is interested, and he brings in the necessary paperwork, gives it to the ministry, and the ministry approve you as a school on the list.
Do you have a contact for this Major White?
Yes, I don't know it out of my head. I could text it to you after the show.
Okay.
I appreciate that. But gentlemen, even that Desmond has pointed to, it's just so long agreed. You hear people agree with it all the time. So I have to come back to the UNIA and your strength and your strategies. Wouldn't you believe that it would need you to meet with the minister as soon as a minister of education is appointed, like the last one, to be talking to that minister about the Garvey in school, as to where it comes in the curriculum, as to whether it fits into the government thing, and push your policy, talking to the JTA. In other words, I hear these broad agreements from time to time. But as to the action and the strategies that the UNIA's leadership is taking, I don't think it's there, Brother Menelik.
Yes, we have done some work, and I must let you be informed. When we met with one of the ministers of education, and we actually got a nod of approval from the minister, the problem he had when he came back to us, that the teachers did not know enough about Marcus Garvey to teach it. So what we had to do, we had to write a curriculum and give it to Michael College that they could start to teach the teachers, that they could in turn teach the children.
All right.
And Dr. Julius Garvey was very instrumental in that also. He was a part of that meeting.
Well, as you say,
I must mention Stephen Golding. I must mention Stephen Golding, who has been doing quite a bit of work with Garvey in schools. I remember when I was the chairman of the tertiary committee of the Jamaica Teachers Association, there were meetings and the micro project came up. But when it comes to this, sometimes starting small really helps. Having a club in the school is one way of making sure of getting a foothold in as many schools as possible. That's a start.
My cynical response is that every year that you take in one of these little steps, hundreds of children graduate from school, and we get the types of behavior that they haven't heard of or seen the Garvey action. But it's a good point to segue to the fact that this week, two of our colleges, Michael University College and the Manig College, those two colleges are having their weeks, the Michael Week. This is the Michael Week. It starts tomorrow. And this week, Thursday, I want to draw attention to the Glenn Owen Memorial Lecture, which is to be delivered at the Michael in Kingston. And its lecturer is Christopher Record. And he's an authority on information technology. And Winnie is he leads the AI Task Force. He's the chairman of the AI Task Force.
Yes,
and he's going to be taking off there on AI. And so it's a good lecture to be at, and it's under MOSA, Michael Old Students Association, short on Dr. Costa, who's a PRN that keeps reminding me to say a word on it. This week too, it's a Manig College Week. And Manig College, they're going to have a lecture on Tuesday as well. And this is the Aubrey Phillips lecture. And guess who is doing that? Michael Lee Chin, no less. And this whole week, a whole set of activities at those two institutions. Winnie, you have a few takes you can do before we wrap up the show?
Yes, we can. Please. This goes... Yes, naming places and things, as well as erecting monuments to mark persons and events that are of significance in our history should remain as they are, whether they are seen as good or bad. That's A.A.
That person is suggesting leave the statue alone.
Yes, and Owen Richards says this means that a small section of students will have information and the vast majority in darkness. When you have a little light, is it better to be in total darkness than to have a little light? Winsome Moffat, she says, good evening.
Okay, and Ruby and Forbes had mentioned in your AI recipe that there is no carbohydrates in that, Winnie.
Which is good. She's saying no carb. Yes, there was none. So yes, it's not every time you need to have carbs. So that's good. Yeah.
That's our show for today, folks.
If I may say,
just for that.
Sorry, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Please. We at the 455
quickly
division.
Quickly, you go first.
Division. It's an education process, a lot of our people are not really educated enough about Garvey and Garveyism. So we at this division is on a campaign right now to go through the 14 parishes in the island.
You're putting in a plug for the political party, man. We'll come to that in due course, and we appreciate the effort.
This is the best time to do it when no election is on.
Representation in Jamaica. All who want to work on political representation. We appreciate that, sir. We appreciate that. Right. Well, that's our show for today. Thanks to our viewers and listeners, without whom the show would not be possible. Remember, you can watch again at your convenience by clicking the same link or going to the Frankly Speaking Jamaica YouTube channel. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you have not done so as yet. Thanks to all our guests, Dr. Devon Taylor of JABEM, and Dr. Heru Menelek, and Peter Foster of the UNIA. Dr. Menelek, we should have asked you what is your old slave name? But we don't bother with that. We can do the research. Special thanks to regular panelists Desmond Richards. Desmond, you're going to change your name, sir. And Winnie Anderson Brown. Thanks to Joshua Black Media Services for graphics and productions. On behalf of all of us, I'm Frankly McKnight. Until then.
Yes.
Yes, brother. Give thanks.
Blessed love, man. Anna.
Yeah, man. Give thanks. Powerful.